before we start, can I give you that, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks very much.
And put it in the bin because Cultaholic masks are still available at cultaholicshop.com. Just in time for Christmas. Show someone you love by not giving them diseases. By getting a Cultaholic shop mask. That's what
Smashed
we do.
it.
Nailed that, mate. Joe,
You
that
good,
was worth
Tom?
a
Are
week.
you happy?
I'm living the dream, mate. It's the last Love You By Friday of 2020 today. So, hashtag emosh, as the kids say. But would love for you to join me in the isolation station a bit later on today. It's live calls. What could possibly go wrong? Will you join us later, Adam? Will you be there?
I'll be there. I'll give you a ring. I'll give you a ring for sure.
You better do. You better do.
Swear on Twitch, can't we? Twitch.tv/Cultaholic. Let's look at the headlines.
A surprising WrestleMania main event is planned. WWE are angry over an upcoming AEW appearance. And a top NXT star undergoes surgery. We'll talk about it in a bit. But first, whoa, WrestleMania, fighting to survive. Best WrestleMania theme ever. You can stick blinding lights right up your blinding light. Don't even at me. And we're talking WrestleMania because we have some news regarding next year's big show, don't we, Adam?
We certainly do. Revealing a few potential matchups. Big ones. Some will make you happy, some will probably make you sad, but that's wrestling for you. So WrestleVotes have been very, very accurate in the past, and they tweeted, source stressed nothing is close to official or concrete. Keep in mind, we're in December right now. But as a working idea, the following is what is being considered. First of all, Reigns versus Goldberg. Get the cat excited. Second, Edge versus Orton, and that makes perfect sense. They've got a score to settle. It's the third in their series. And an interesting twist. McIntyre versus Lesnar versus Keith Lee. Lots of variables in play, especially the attendance factor. So, though it's card subject to change, of course it is. But how are we feeling about those? Let's run them down quickly, Tom. Give me a facial expression that summarizes your feelings towards these matches. Reigns versus Goldberg. Lovely, like a sad little turtle. Edge versus Orton. McIntyre versus Lesnar versus Lee.
Keith!
That's a great facial expression, Tom. That's how it works. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Let's not. We've talked so much about Reigns versus Goldberg. Screw it. I don't want to see it. If it has to happen, it needs to be Reigns demolishing Goldberg. But I certainly don't want to see that at WrestleMania. I've just talked about it. I said I wasn't going to. Edge versus Orton. That match does need to happen. Of course it does. They're 1-1 in their recent series, so that definitely needs to happen. And McIntyre versus Lesnar versus Keith Lee. Some very, very beefy lads there.
It certainly suggests that this is something that they've had ticking over in their brains for a while, because since Keith got the call up to the main roster, he has been very protected, i.e. no significant pinfall losses. If he's lost a match, it's either because he wasn't involved in the deciding pin or there was shenanigans that made sure that he lost. So they're keeping him very strong going into what could potentially be a really unique WrestleMania encounter. And also going back to the Royal Rumble of this year, the only other person that really sort of took any HP off mini boss Lesnar, off big boss Lesnar rather than mini boss. Jeez, if he's the mini boss, heaven forbid who's on top.
Triple H. Triple H is the main boss of WWE and always will be.
Of course, Triple H. But the only other person who took any major HP off of Lesnar was Keith Lee. Yep. So there is something there between those two squaring up once again, and Lesnar giving us that nani face as Keith Lee charges at him. I'm up for that. That's a very intriguing main event. I mean, Lesnar coming back. Where are we at with the idea of Lesnar reappearing at the start of 2021?
I'm fine with it, to be honest. He's been away for a while. It's always a bit frustrating. I guess the thing with Lesnar is, like, when he comes back, he's always immediately in the title picture. And that's not changing here. So I'd like him to have a bit of a grudge match at some point. If he's coming back, I'd like him to do something that isn't centered around the title. You've got to believe that with it, the plans there being for a triple threat match, maybe that's to protect Lesnar. Maybe Drew's getting pinned, maybe Keith's getting pinned, but I would suggest the fact that they're considering a triple threat match means that they don't want Lesnar getting pinned. Or maybe they'll both pin him. They're both very big. And that would be a nice visual. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big Lesnar fan, though. Like, I know people get fed up of him, and I totally understand that with the dominant booking. But you're right in saying that he does feel like the boss of WWE. Beating Lesnar is such a big deal. And when they both pin him, that's huge. We've got a bit of an add-on to this story, in fact, regarding a potential, or I guess a dream match that a lot of us have wanted for WrestleMania, and that is The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Obviously, we've just mentioned there that Roman Reigns versus Goldberg is the likely one, but from WrestlingNews.co, they've noted Roman Reigns versus The Rock is one of the big matches fans are hoping to see at WrestleMania 37, but sources in WWE say that match is not going to happen in 2021. And a source in the company has told them that Vince McMahon does not feel that WrestleMania 37 would be the time for the match to happen. And this very much comes down to the fact that they don't know how many fans are actually going to be able to attend the show due to COVID, obviously. So that is the biggest match that WWE could book. I can't think of a single bigger match. Like you could do the bloody, I don't know, cinematic match or whatever between Sting and Undertaker. You could have maybe at a push. No, there's nothing. There isn't actually. I'm not even going to say that.
I actually kind of agree to an extent when it's written the way that it has been written, in the sense that Rock and Roman is that's the match. They kind of teased it without teasing it, with Roman saying, head of the table and all that. No one's coming around mine for dinner. But then The Rock is obviously, when you talk about that family, that dynasty, he's the guy. And if you have the choice between having Rock and Roman in a half-filled stadium in Florida, or waiting a year, having it in a, hopefully, sold-out stadium in, like, the entertainment capital of the world in LA, that seems like a bigger offering. I know people will argue that Florida is technically The Rock's hometown as a Miami guy, but he's Hollywood, isn't he? He's Hollywood. You have the Hollywood guy in Hollywood. That feel like, as somebody I was genuinely up for seeing Rock and Roman Reigns, it isn't until reading that where I've gone, do you know what? I think I'll happily wait a year and have it on an even bigger scale.
My concern here is that will WWE get cold feet with heel Roman? Because this dream match to me is a dream match, not just because of the family connection, but with heel Roman going over ultimate babyface Hollywood mega god The Rock. That's the dream for me. Will they get cold feet? We've got like a year and a half to wait, and that's assuming that it can happen at WrestleMania 38. Rock's a busy man. Will he be available then? I don't know, and it worries me because I don't know how long they're going to keep Roman heel, despite the fact that this is the run of his career.
And also, and after a year and a half of him as the champion, you'd probably be, the storyline world would suggest that you're clamoring for somebody to take that belt from him. So after a year and a half, maybe like, am I advocating for The Rock to become the WWE Universal Champion? I don't think I am. Or am I? I don't know anymore.
Why not? No, he doesn't. He could drop it midway through. He could drop it to E and win it back. And I don't want to suggest Big E as a transitional champion. But yeah, you're right. If after that long, bloody hell, do the bloody Seth Rollins cash in. Make it a triple threat toward the end of the match.
All I'm saying
Big E run out there. Yeah.
All I'm saying is I like to live in a world where, we get some fresh blood at the top, where you've got The Rock as the Universal Champion, you've got Brock Lesnar as WWE Champion, and Sting as AEW Champion. I, for one, think that's a fresh 2022 that I'm excited for.
Screw you, Cesaro. It's never happening, pal.
He didn't try hard enough. That's the problem. He never reached for that brass ring, did he?
Break through the ceiling.
Snoop Dogg, not Charlie Brown's one, but the rapper one, has
That's the worst one you've ever done.
WWE.
That's the worst one you've ever done, Tom.
What?
Carry on.
I refused. I disagree. I think it's some of my finest work. Snoop Dogg, the diggity dog, diggity dog, is in the news today. Yes! And No Mercy reference in 2022. That and Sting as AEW champion. It's the dream. Snoop Dogg is turning up in AEW at the start of next year. He'll be part of New Year's Smash. And it's going to be... It's something that is already upsetting WWE, isn't it?
It certainly is. So he's booked for night 2 of New Year's Smash. Obviously, NXT are running New Year's Evil. So they're in direct competition there. Snoop Dogg, who is he's a WWE mainstay at this point, obviously, isn't he? Well, he's Unky Snoop to Sasha. But Brian Alvarez has talked about this on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, regarding Snoop Dogg, I do know there are people in WWE who are very upset that Snoop is appearing on AEW Dynamite. It might not seem like a big deal because, hey, he's a celebrity guest. He can go wherever the hell he wants. And he does, because he's on every advert ever. But WWE have just released an Undertaker X Snoop Doggity Dogg clothing line, which was very, very quickly pulled following this announcement. It was on WWEshop.com. I don't know if you can still get it elsewhere, but it's been pulled from WWE Shop. So people are pissed. People in WWE are super pissed about this. And if you manage to get your hands on one of those Snoop Dogg X Undertaker bits of merch, then that's probably going to be worth a pretty penny. Don't wear it.
No,
not just because they're awful. But
what's funny is that WWE just put out a thing saying, we're looking for rare memorabilia. I challenge anybody to email them saying, I've got an Undertaker Snoop Dogg t-shirt. But I think it's not away from this big brand deal, this most ambitious crossover since Avengers Infinity War of Snoop Dogg and Undertaker. But bear in mind that Snoop Dogg has a weekly presence on WWE television as he's voiced Sasha Banks' theme tune.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's there every week. So, that plus, obviously, the big deal they've just done with Taker, I kind of see why they're annoyed. But I think that when it comes to Snoop Dogg's feelings on it, I think if you were to take the space between my thumb and my finger there, right, and divide that by 1 million, and then divide that by 1 million again, then divide that by 1 million again, I think that's how much he cares about what WWE think.
Good. If they got the chance, they'd book him for WrestleMania next year. Of course they would. We'll see Snoop in WWE again. We'll probably see him in AEW again. And I hope he's getting paid a pretty penny. Fair play to the bloke.
And I hope he rides out on a Just Eat scooter. We've talked a lot this week about Jackson Riker, who made a reappearance on WWE television to the side of Elias. They were taping for the main event, and there he is, now serving as a roadie/bodyguard. And he's actually broken his silence on his current status with the company, hasn't he, Adam?
That's right. So he's reactivated his Twitter account, and he wrote, "I will walk with." And then he went on Instagram as well and noted that he's not done with WWE, saying, "What's in store for the Savage? I have a lot more to give, a lot more to earn. I'm not done at WWE." So there you go. This is following reports that he was going to be released. And then, he popped up on main event. Not the main event, as Tom said. He's never going to be in the main event. He's on the show that no one watches. But yeah, there you go. It seems like he's going to be sticking around for a little bit. And yeah, he's a good wrestler and all that, isn't he?
Yes, he's a good wrestler. There's a lot of upset with him in the locker room for comments that he made. We're not going to go into the hows and whys because it's a hot topic.
And I want the comment section to like me, because immediately they just go, "Oh, I come here for the wrestling, not the politics." It's really linked, this story. We don't get political a lot, but it is really linked. And yeah, the reports are that he's still not very well liked backstage. So. Hopefully they've got him his own special main event locker room with Elias. I feel sorry for Elias. I don't know what he's done wrong.
I was hoping that he'd follow up with another tweet after "I will walk with" and maybe subvert us a bit. "I will walk with a limp because I stubbed my toe getting out of bed this morning. I will walk with my cousin's dog because he's away and I'm looking after him while he's in Cyprus." What else could Jackson Riker walk with?
Should we do the next story, Tom?
No, I want to talk about what Jackson Riker could walk with.
Next story. An absent NXT star.
I will walk with the animals, talk with the animals. Walk with the animals. Hey, Jackson Riker is Dr. Doolittle. Get on with it.
Tyler Bates back. We're moving straight into it. Tyler Bate making his return to WWE TV during the debut of Noam Dar's Supernova Sessions talk show on NXT UK. And it set up a match between A-Kid and Tyler Bates with the Heritage Cup Championship on the bloody line. We won't ruin it for you, but let's just say that Tyler's not the new Heritage Cup champion. Because A-Kid won.
It's a really good match, regardless of the result. It's a really, really good match.
Yeah, no, it's a really good match. You know what? I looked at the WWE YouTube channel just after they were going live, and it was really interesting seeing the response to it. Just from the first of all, like they don't do tremendous views, which is a shame because there's some brilliant wrestling on NXT UK. But the comments were more savage. They were more savage than what's going to happen to me after that Jackson Riker story, right? They were just going, who's watching this? This is really, really boring. They're not into the British wrestling style, the round style, and the more technical based stuff. And it's not going down with that audience. That was early days yet, but I always find it really interesting to see how people respond to this stuff.
I think I've really enjoyed it. I think the issue is there's with the Heritage Cup stuff. I've been enjoying the tournament myself, but I can see where people have taken umbrage with it because you have this old school wrestling sort of style and you're presenting it as like a classic World of Sport style wrestling match, which is about grapples and ground and pound and techers. But then you have a kid who will just as soon do a corkscrew dragon whip moonsault off the top, and it subverts that idea of this is a wrestling tournament. So there is the lines are a bit blurred as to what it is, but as a concept, I like it. I think the Heritage Cup matches have been not always great, but certainly the final was exciting. Some of the earlier matches were good. And I think Tyler Bate and A-Kid put on a good match, personally. I think it got a bit of a tough response online. I'm surprised that this is how we reintroduce Tyler Bate, though. Like, this is a guy who was, before the world caught fire, was on the verge of doing big things in the American brand. Like, there was talk there of him moving over that side, and he's like 20-something years old, and he's got plenty of time to figure all that out. But it just seems like I want to see him do more than. I'm glad that they got this in. He gave A-Kid a massive win for A-Kid. Mm-hmm. Like a huge win. And I'm intrigued to see what the future holds for Tyler Bate because he's such a talent.
I agree. No, he's spectacular at what he does. And we know that they can get over there. Obviously, Pete Dunne's back in NXT now. You've got the Grizzled Young Vets and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think I'd rather see him in NXT, but that's just because I actually watch NXT rather than NXT UK. No, I think it's cool. And you know what? I can eat my words in the same way that Sam will eventually eat his hat in saying that, because I didn't think we would see much of the Heritage Cup again. So I actually think it's cool that it's being put on the line. As I guess a secondary championship in NXT UK. This is sort of the introduction of a mid-tier title, I guess. So I think
it's a cup, which is different. Like, there is this thing where everyone assumes that a championship has to be a belt. It doesn't need to be. That's
Progress had shields.
They had shields and scepters. I want to run a federation where it's a throne, where you become the king and you sit on the balcony on a throne. Like, that'd be cool rather than a championship. It mixes things up a little bit.
I'd watch it. Imagine it being dragged to the ring, down the ramp, getting caught in all the cabling. The ref hoisting it up. The following match is for the massive seats.
Stevie Aaron, help me with this. This is very cumbersome. A championship match has been added to WWE Tender Loving Care 2020. It's going to be the New Day putting their Raw Tag Team Championships on the line against the Hurt Business. You up for this one, Adam?
Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Shelton and Cedric, they deserve a go with the belts. And go with the belts. I mean, it sounds so underwhelming. A go with Tom's big throne. No, I think it's great, and I actually expect to see the Hurt Business add a little bit more gold to their wastes their arsenal to they're going to win, right? The Hurt Business are going to win this one. I think it'll be a really good match as well. It's one of those ones. It's not going to hurt Kofi and Xavier to lose, but it will massively elevate Shelton and Cedric to win. We'll give you a really quick rundown of the updated card for the pay-per-view in case you're not aware. We've got the Universal title on the line, Roman versus Kevin in a TLC match. We've got WWE Champion Drew McIntyre defending against AJ Styles, also in a TLC match. We've got the SmackDown title, women's title on the line, Sasha versus Carmella. Orton versus The Fiend. We've got Shayna and Nia against Asuka and Lana for the women's tag team titles. And then that one that we've just added there, the New Day versus the Hurt Business that we've just added there. We did that.
We did that, didn't
we?
Us.
Good
only
job,
us. Last WWE pay-per-view of the year. The bar was set pretty high following War Games just the other weekend. So we'll see whether they can top that one. Speaking of War Games, Bobby Fish, a casualty of War Games, isn't he, Adam?
Yeah, this really sucks. WWE airing a video titled Casualty of War Games, as you mentioned, that had interviews from various people who were involved in the men's and women's War Games matches, just because there are a lot of people pretty banged up after those matches. Bobby Fish noting that he had to undergo surgery to reattach a triceps. They haven't announced how long he's going to be out, but typically this is 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months, according to my book. So 4 to 6 months there. We wish him the very best. It sucks. It really sucks. I like Bobby Fish. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. And it just means that there's no resolution for the Undisputed Era, really, until probably April, May. I feel like they're all coming up to the main roster. I feel like that may now happen post-WrestleMania.
Yeah, and that's fine. Do it in front of a big crowd. We can't have big crowds yet. That's one, and you can't put all the big surprises off forever, right? Sometimes you've got to do stuff, whether there's a proper audience or a load of bloody screens. This is one that I want to see people there for. I'm happy to wait on this for sure. I'm happy with them staying in NXT for another year, to be honest, but we'll see.
And finally, we here at Cultaholic pay our respects to Thomas Tiny Lister, who has passed away at the age of 62. We've lost Zeus today, Adam.
Yeah, this is really tragic news. TMZ reporting that law enforcement responded to a call for an unconscious male at Lister's apartment just before 3 p.m. local time. And unfortunately, Lister was pronounced dead at the scene. No cause of death has been given at this point, but truly tragic news. Obviously, he's a big part of late 80s WWE and the SummerSlam match. And then he was there at Survivor Series as well as the No Holds Barred pay-per-view as well. And yeah, I think this is sad, just because obviously a lot of people watching this will remember him from the wrestling, but the guy made such a tremendous impact in film and TV as well. I was talking to Sam and Andrew out there, and they were saying, oh yeah, he was in like Dark Knight, he was in Jackie Brown, Fifth Element, he was in. I most fondly remember him personally for his fantastic work in Little Nicky. Have you seen it?
I know the bit you mean, actually.
He plays Cassius, Adam Sandler's, Nicky's brother. Popeye's chicken's flipping awesome. That was a bad impression. It's such a great film. It's Adam Sandler's last best one, and a big part of that was Cassius Lister.
We can't not mention his role as Debo in the Friday series. That's where
I've never seen it.
Oh, he was stunning as Debo. Just this, you give me my chain back. What chain? Just a beast of a man. And you can't, as Adam said, you can't write the book on wrestling in the late 80s without talking about Zeus. The match, the movie in '89, No Holds Barred. It's two things you should watch today in the wrestling world, in the wrestling catalogue of Thomas Tiny Lister. You should watch No Holds Barred, because that is a treat of a movie. It truly is. And also, there's a promo that Zeus did with Macho King Randy Savage and Sensational Sherry. They were building up to a cage match on, I think it was Saturday night's main event. It was post SummerSlam, and it is the most wild promo, because it's like there's 30 seconds at the end where everybody's trying to get their bit in. Like, Savage is talking wildly. You've got Zeus just screaming, Hogan, I'm gonna destroy you! And then you've got Elizabeth climbing up the cage going, I could be anywhere! It's just brilliant. Just a wild promo from some beautiful people. We will miss the likes of Thomas Tiny Lister, and we pay homage and we send our condolences to friends and family today. What a guy. Have an amazing weekend. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.